Hey guys, and welcome back to Zero Pettifoggery, sir. This is episode 2, and first and foremost, thank you all for tuning in. All your comments, questions, concerns, feedback, and just attention is certainly welcome. I've been enjoying some of the conversations that have sparked up out of some of the topics that I discussed, even having a potential client approach me about an issue in which I was talking about, notably coronavirus in their contracts. So really excited about all the feedback and all the response that I got from episodes 1A and 1B. So thank you for tuning in. And again, thank you for tuning in to episode 2. Second, I want to take an opportunity to thank all of our quote-unquote heroes. I mean that in the broadest sense. Our first responders, our law enforcement officers, those working in medical facilities, doctors, nurses, those really keeping our, keeping our lives safe, hopefully keeping a lot of the people around us healthy, and being on the front lines and being out, like I can't tell you the last time I left my house. But they're doing great work, and sincerely, I certainly appreciate you guys, and I appreciate all the hard work, and of course, doing my best to try and show that appreciation. As you may know, my fiance is a radiological technician at a hospital, and I'm extremely proud of her strength, and everything that she's doing to keep it together and to keep everyone healthy and safe and during this time. So I know it's not easy, but we're doing great, and I think if all goes well, we'll be out of this by hopefully the end of June, and I'll be getting ready to have a wedding if all goes well. So got some great information, some great clips for you guys tonight, and actually you're going to get it most of you tomorrow morning, and really excited for you to check it out. And also I'll give 1,000 points to the person who knows where the title of our show, Zero Pettifoggery, Sir, comes from. And just as a hint, there'll be a clip at the very, very end of the episode, which you should pay close attention to. So without further ado, here it goes. April 28th, about 12:15 a.m. Quick update. The New Jersey Supreme Court handed down a case decision within the last couple days that essentially could be seen as attempting to curb contextual and pretextual traffic stops occurring across the state. The specific case is the State versus Roman-Rosado. It was heard by the Supreme Court in the early part of February. Essentially, in the case, the criminal defendant was pulled over for violating a minor traffic concern, I guess, for lack of a better term, in that his license plate holder covered the part of the New Jersey license plate that says Garden State on the bottom of its license plate. So they pulled him over for violating this part, very particular part of the New Jersey law. And although most cases, like I've handled in municipal court and many of you have had in traffic court, they generally go to municipal court and they're, it's a fine, something like that. And you would think, why is this too much of a big deal? Well, in the midst of the search of the vehicle, which was after the traffic stop, the police officers found a gun, which obviously, certainly guns in the wrong hands and certain people, depending on the city, certain dangers. There's a lot of concern, and obviously there could have been a big time escalation out of this gun being on the scene, and perhaps even the safety of the police officers and the public. So they pulled him over for this minor traffic violation, and they found the gun, and he was arrested. Well, upon appeal, going all the way to New Jersey Supreme Court, which, just for reference, the minor traffic accident generally would be handled in a municipal court. Municipal court is probably the lowest level, if not one of the lowest levels of the courts in the state of New Jersey. Then you have the Superior Court. And his gun charges, generally a felony, would be heard in the Superior Court. So after a conviction in the Superior Court on his case, which I'm sure there was a motion to suppress on this, it went up to the Superior Court, and the Superior Court heard this case and essentially gave a ruling that a very minor traffic stop for a license plate holder being partially obstructed cannot be done. Okay, so it was a very interesting decision. Essentially, the court concluded that there was no reasonable suspicion to stop a defendant's car for violating the covering of the words Garden State on the license plate. And therefore, finding the gun makes it what they call fruit of the poisonous tree. In a matter of evidence law, they say fruit of the poisonous tree, meaning that any acts taken after, or anything found taken after what they consider to be an illegal act or an unconstitutional act, is considered inadmissible. The context of that is you have somebody, staying at home and say they have a weapon they've procured, not legally or something to that effect, and the police officers come to their house on a tip, okay? And the police officers don't get a warrant before they come to the house. And, amidst other circumstances and other exceptions to the law, if the police officers don't have a search warrant, they can't just come into your house and do a search. And so if a police officer were to conduct an illegal search within your house under those circumstances, in this hypothetical, whatever they would find, including that illegally purchased gun, would be considered fruit of the poisonous tree and not admissible in a court of law. So in this case, essentially what the Supreme Court of New Jersey is saying is there's no reasonable suspicion, aka a necessity for a search of a motor vehicle, when you have such a minor traffic infraction like the covering of the Garden State on the license plate. So pretty interesting case. Figured I'd throw it your way, and I'll have some more coming at you.
Hey guys, Tuesday, April 28th, about 1 p.m. Wanted to give you a quick update on landlord-tenant law. Late Friday afternoon, Governor Murphy signed Executive Order 128 into effect in the state of New Jersey. Essentially, among other things, the executive order allows for tenants to write to a landlord. That can be done electronically, as well as the normal certified mail standard practices in your lease. And they can write to the landlord electronically, asking the landlord to apply the security deposit that was provided prior to the lease, as well as any interest that was built on that security deposit to the rent that was, needless to say, not being paid during the state of emergency and the coronavirus pandemic. Frankly, it's a pretty troubling executive order on the landlord side, essentially because the executive order goes on to say that following 6 months after the state of emergency, there is a requirement, if the lease is renewed or renegotiated in some form or fashion, that the security deposit be re-entered and redeposited with the landlord. Only issue I see with that is, say for example a tenant moves out, or say for example a tenant does a decent amount of damage to the apartment. You're kind of leaving a landlord with not a lot of recourse and an ability, on a secured amount of money to be able to pay back the amount of money that's owed. So pretty interesting thing that's been going on landlord-tenant. Landlord-tenant law, for a lot of reasons right now, is being postponed and pushed off. As of right now, I'm not in court for landlord-tenant cases until approximately June 1st. Reason for that is, a normal day in landlord-tenant court, no matter what the county, you're talking 20 plus attorneys, you're talking 250 something litigants, you're talking, court staff, 5 to 10 in just that courtroom. So you have a lot of people in close quarters, and a lot of people, that are fighting for their shelter. And if you're fighting for your shelter and you can't afford to pay for your shelter, Lord knows what you're prioritizing in terms of payment towards other things. So essentially, the court is saying they're not holding trials until at least June 1st, and there won't be any lockouts until 60 days after the state of emergency. So, going to be pretty interesting. Not really sure where this is going to go, but, obviously certain issues on the landlord-tenant side, and I'm not really sure, how it's going to develop. I don't know if there'll be evictions based on a tenant not replenishing a security deposit. It's quite possible. So, figured I'd give you a quick update, and I'll have some more coming for you, and put this all out on Friday. All right, talk to you soon.
Hey guys, April 28th, about 5 p.m., catching in the last little bit of sunshine, and figured I'd give you an update. This week, Marauding for Your Ears is the podcast by Slate, the production company, called Slow Burn. Slate is a notorious company in terms of production regarding politics, the Supreme Court. They also have another podcast called Amicus, but driven more towards the entertainment, the general public, and not just getting caught up in the legal nonsense, is this podcast called Slow Burn. Season 1 was focused on and investigating the Watergate scandal, and they went through about 7 or 8 episodes there. Season 2 focused on Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And in the slightest little bit of a turn and transition, it went to Season 3, focusing on the lives, in part, and death of Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur. Well investigated, well thought out, very well produced podcast that you might find interesting, and I'd highly recommend. So check them out. Thanks.
Put your hand down. Why are you smiling? Cause I love the law. The law is fun. Fun, sir. It's fun? Yes. You sure? I think. Now you're thinking. First you smile, then you're thinking. You think the law is still fun? Yes. Sir. Yes. No, sir. No. It was fun. Not anymore though, is it? Is it? Not right now. It's not fun anymore? Not even a little bit. No. Make up your mind. Think, since you're thinking. Go on, think. Is it fun? No, sir. No? Absolutely not? Zero pettifoggery, sir. All right, listen up. I'm Daniel F. Deraney, and I'm going to tell you how much fun you're going to have this episode.